Hello friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Professor S.P. Singh from Faculty of Management Studies, Gurukul Kangdi University, Haridwar. Today we are going to study Module 3 on Development of Research Hypothesis. After studying this module, you shall be able to know the meaning of hypothesis, understand the types of hypothesis, comprehend the sources of hypothesis, understand the characteristics of a good hypothesis, become aware of the formulation of hypothesis. Once the research problem is identified and formulated, the researcher moves to formulate the hypothesis to be tested based on the facts already known. In the absence of hypothesis, the researcher cannot proceed with the investigation of his problem. Thus, the hypothesis guides the researcher through a complexity of facts to visualize and closely choose only those that are relevant to the problem under investigation. What is hypothesis? Any assumption that the researcher makes on the probable direction of the results that might be obtained on completion of the research process is termed as hypothesis. The statements thus formulated can lend themselves to empirical inquiry. When a proposition is formulated for empirical testing, it is called a hypothesis. A hypothesis must be formulated in simple, clear and declarative form. A broad hypothesis might not be empirically testable. Make the hypothesis single dimensional and to be testing only one relationship between only two variables at a time. High organizational commitment will lead to lower turnover intentions. A hypothesis must be measurable and quantifiable so that the statistical authenticity of the relationship can be established. The formulated hypothesis could be of two types. One, descriptive hypothesis. Descriptive hypotheses are propositions that typically state the existence, size, form or distribution of some variable. These are simply statements about the magnitude, trend or behavior of a population under study. Based on past records, the researcher makes some presumptions about the variable under study. For example, the current unemployment rate in an area is more than 7% of the labor force. The literacy rate in a region is 95%. The attrition rate in the education sector is about 35%. Researchers often use a research question rather than a descriptive hypothesis. Descriptive hypothesis encourages researchers to crystallize their thinking about the likely relationships to be found. Further, encourages them to think about the implications of a supported or rejected finding. Hypotheses are especially useful for testing statistical significance. Relational hypothesis state the expected relationship between two variables. For example, Indian customers perceive foreign cars to be of better quality than domestic cars. There can be correlational, relational or explanatory or causal relationship. Correlational relationship state merely that the variables occur together in some specified manner without implying one causes the other. Explanatory hypothesis state the existence of or a change in one variable causes or leads to an effect on the other variable. The causal variable is called the independent variable and the other the dependent variable. However, the independent variable need not be the sole reason for the existence of or change in the dependent variable. An increase in family income leads to an increase in the income saved. A decrease in prices of fuel leads to an increase in the demand for cars. Sources of hypothesis. There are various sources of hypothesis. Some important sources are discussed here. 1. History of science. The history of science provides an eloquent testimony to the fact that personal and idiosyncratic experience of the scientist contributed a great deal to the type of form of questions he may ask, as also to the kinds of tentative answers to these questions that he can provide. Some scientists may perceive an interesting pattern in what may merely seem a jumble of facts to a common man. The history of science is full of instances of discoveries made just because the right person happened to make the right observation owing to his characteristic, life history, and exposure to the world of events. Personal life histories are a factor in determining the kinds of perception and conception, and this factor may in turn direct one person to certain hypotheses more quickly. Analogies. Analogies are often a spring of valuable hypotheses. Students of sociology in the course of their studies would have come across analogies wherein a society is compared to a biological organism, the natural law to the social law, thermodynamics to social dynamics, etc. One of the recent orientations to hypothesis formulation is provided by cybernetics. The communication models now so well entrenched in the social sciences speak volumes of the importance of analogies as sources of fruitful hypothesis. The hypothesis that similar human types of activities may be found occupying the same territory came from plant ecology. Findings of other studies. Hypothesis may rest also on the findings of other studies. The researcher, on the basis of the findings of other studies, may hypothesize that similar relationship between specified variables will hold good in the present study too. Many a study in social sciences is exploratory in character. The findings of such studies may be formulated as hypotheses for more structured studies which aim at testing the hypothesis. Body of theory. A hypothesis may stem from a body of theory which, by way of logical deduction, may lead to the prediction that if certain conditions are present, certain results will follow. Theory is indeed an extremely fertile seed bed of hypothesis. Value orientation of the culture. The value orientation of the culture in which a science develops furnishes many of its basic hypotheses. Folk wisdom prevalent in the culture also serves an important source of hypothesis. Features of a good hypothesis. The criteria for judging the usability of the hypothesis is none other than that help the hypothesis perform their designated functions vis-a-vis research and the growth of knowledge. Hence, a good usable hypothesis must satisfy the following criteria. Number 1, empirically testable. A hypothesis should be empirically testable. It is possible to deduce logical certain inferences from which in turn can be tested by observation in the field. 2, closest to things observable. Hypothesis should be closest to things observable. Failing this, it would not be possible to test their accord with empirical facts. Three, conceptually clear. Hypothesis must be conceptually clear. The concepts utilized in the hypothesis should be defined in an evident manner, formally as well as operationally. Formal definition or explication of the concepts will clarify what a particular concept stands for, while the operational definition will clarify about what would make the empirical evidence or indicator of the concept in the field. This would ensure continuity in researches and as a result cumulative growth of scientific knowledge. 4, hypothesis must be specific. The hypothesis must be specific. Often the researchers are tempted to express their hypothesis in such general terms and with so grandiose a scope that they are simply not amenable to test. The researchers therefore would do well to avoid concepts in their hypothesis for which suitable tangible indexes have not been developed. A hypothesis should include a clear statement of indexes which are to be used. 5, hypothesis must be related to a body of theory or some theoretical orientation. The hypothesis should be concerned to theory or theoretical orientation. If the hypothesis is related to some theory, research will make competent, support, correct or refute the theory. A hypothesis testing involves a number of steps. 1, formulate a hypothesis. A null hypothesis, this is a claim or hypothesis about the values or population parameters. This is tested against alternative hypothesis. The null hypothesis is tested with the available evidence and decision is made whether to accept the hypothesis or reject it. If the null hypothesis is rejected, we accept the alternative hypothesis. Set up a suitable significance level. There are two types of errors that can occur in decisions to accept or reject the null hypothesis. We commit type 1 error to reject the null hypothesis when in fact it is true. We commit type 2 error in accepting the null hypothesis when really it is untrue. The level of significance denotes the probability of committing type 1 error and usually take it as 5%, means A is equal to 0.05. This means that even after testing the hypothesis, when a decision is made, we may still commit an error to reject the null hypothesis. This means that even after testing the hypothesis, when a decision is made, we may still commit an error to reject the null hypothesis. Alternatively, the value of A is taken as 0.01 but it is the choice of the researcher based on the sensitivity of the study. Choose a test criterion. The different distributions that are normally used are normal distribution Z. Characteristic is most often used when the sample is large. T distribution used for small samples. F test and chi-square test. Compute the statistic. The sample mean is found out and then Z is calculated. The calculated value is compared with tabulated value from normal distribution against the table. The decided criterion, one-tailed or two-tailed, make decision. If the calculated value of the test statistic is more than the tabulated value, we reject the null hypothesis and accepted the alternative hypothesis. In terms of critical region, the value of calculated attribute falls outside the acceptance region. Friends, in this module, you have studied the concept, the types, sources, features and testing of hypothesis. Thanks for visiting EPG Pathshala.